Welcome back, everybody. I know the Warrior has been out for 4 episodes right now. We're all very excited. I know you and I are talking about it on the Facebook groups, so I wanted to bring on a new character that is very, very interesting. We all have our, thinking caps on where this is leading. I have my ideas. We're not going to be asking for any spoilers from the actress who plays Catherine Archer, but please welcome to the program Dominique Maher.
Hi.
Hi, Dominique. How are you?
I am good. It has been a day. It has been a busy day. I'm happy to be speaking to you right now. It has been
Thank you
an
very
admin-filled day of doing my tax, so any excuse to
much.
not.
I see, I see. So I hit you on the end of doing taxes. That's a wonderful way to end the day. Good. Well, yes. I wanted for the people and for myself as well, because usually, a lot of information exists and I can watch past interviews and I can read about the people. About you, it's just your IMDb, pro page. So I know very little and I want to find out just as much as everyone, watching this. Who is the person behind Catherine Archer? And I want to talk about your life, find out how you came to be on the show, and then dive into Catherine. It's a very very interesting addition to the show that we love. So let's start at the beginning. Tell us more about yourself, how you got started in acting, and let's work to Warrior.
Oh, wow, that is a long story. I really have been doing this my whole life. I popped out and my mother was like, "Oh Lord, no, she's going to be an actress." So I really have been doing this since I was a baby. And yeah, found my mom is not that stage mom. So, I mean, she's always been supportive, but she's not like living vicariously through me. But she thought, okay, she's clearly an actress, and it's always what I've loved. And I've always been involved in whether it's film, TV, commercials, theater. I've been doing it since a tiny tot. And then went to study, as we all do, and continued the road from there. And, as an actor, it has been highs and lows and
Yeah.
uh, good experiences. And what am I doing with my life? And leading us up to here. So I've done a lot of theater. Obviously, I am based in Cape Town, so I'm South African based. And I've done some film and some television work. But it has been a tricky situation navigating more into the film side of things, which is, I mean, I love theater,
Mhm.
but I do have such a strong passion for film and television. So it has been somewhat tumultuous at times to get in there. But yeah, I suppose you hit a certain age and you just go, I'm going to knock the doors down. I've had enough. So
And
yeah.
that's very, very, very true. And the more actors I talk to, the more it's a similar story. Everybody at some point gets to the point, and we do swear on the show, so it is allowed. They get to the point of fuck it, and that's when things actually start happening. So some actors get to the point before a particular audition, and they get there and they stop sweating, and they're like, yeah, well, I'm just going to be me. And if they like me, great. If they don't, I don't care. And
Exactly.
yeah, so you've reached that point
Yeah,
apparently. You got it.
it is part of my personality, but when you are navigating this industry, you're always so conscious to not step on toes, or you don't want to, offend or upset a casting director. So everything's kind of like on eggshells. And then you get to this point where you're like, well, it's not happening anyway, so I might as well just go for it.
Yeah. The funny thing about casting directors, and again, for people who are not in the industry, I'm a little bit in the industry, right? So, I have done some stuff. And I've interviewed a lot of casting directors on the show. And the my moment of clarity came to be when I would specifically ask casting directors the same question to see what answer they would give, and all of them give different answers.
Yeah.
And then it finally kind of just that light bulb moment of they're just people. They don't know what they're talking about, just like we don't know what we're talking about. Somebody may look at you and saying you're amazing. Well, the next person is going to look at the same performance and saying you're awful. um, you cannot worry about them. Just do the best version of what you think you want to be doing that's going to make you happy. And then if it's meant to be, it will. If not, it won't. And much easier to live that way.
100%. I completely agree with you. I also had that moment. It was a good couple of years ago that I was just like, everybody's just another person, just like me, and we're all just trying to figure it out. So
Right.
let me like not place people on pedestals, have the respect for sure.
Mhm.
But we're all in this business together, and it is a collaborative business, and
Yeah,
one cog cannot work without the other. So, and ultimately, at the end of the day, they are trying to cast a human being. So,
true.
work with them.
One of the casting directors who I really want to disagree with, but the more I do things, the more I have to acknowledge that she's 100% right. And she mentioned basically it's not character acting, it's just be you. Because
Yeah.
on TV, it's you. In commercials, it's you. In the movies, it's mostly you, with exception of you're doing something that's really, really, really kind of out there, and then you have to bring characters. Otherwise, it's just you. And within us, we have a bunch of things that are playing a bunch of versions of ourselves. You just pick a particular version and you play that. But just be you. Once you're doing that, you're authentic. People get it. They either like you or they don't, but that's what they're going to cast. They're going to cast you. That's it.
Yeah. No, 100%. I completely agree.
So it made my life easier. So now I used to worry about auditions. Now I go into audition. I am professional, but I'm me. And I am whatever that particular role that I'm reading is how I see me playing in that particular circumstance. And it's a lot easier. And I started booking more.
Yeah, well, it's a good mindset to have because ultimately, there are so many, like you say, we have different variations within ourselves. But there are different people, obviously, of multi-personalities all over the world. So coming in for a certain role, something is going to click with one person more than it does with another, possibly because they're a little bit closer in personality to
Mhm.
that situation, or they can
Yeah.
identify a little bit better. I've just experienced that. And I'm like, yeah, this I auditioned for something, I'm like, yeah, this character is not a stretch for me. I can see why you want to call me back.
But that's the funny part. We never know. I remember auditioning for a role, and I went in there, and I'm reading, I'm reading on the page, and it's a person of authority. It's a professor in high school, uh, college, excuse me, beginning, freshman year, and
Yeah,
uh, based on some of the kind of language, I see that it's a person who everybody admires, who people are looking up to. So I play. I'm a softie, so I play with my soft and caring, compassionate side. And I get a call back. I get to the place, and I'm talking to the director and the producer, and they're reading to me what they envision for the character to be. And it's funny because next to me in the waiting room is a black man who is a tall, muscular, very good-looking black man, and we're reading for the same part. And I'm looking at him. I'm looking at myself, thinking, this is very interesting because I am nothing like that. He is,
mm,
taller, he's better looking, he is muscular, he is black, I'm white. Are they not sure what they're looking for? And then they read what they were looking for, and they're saying, I think it's quite similar to what I remember. Men want to be him, women want to be with him. This, that type of a guy. I'm like, and they're reading this to me, and I'm thinking in my head, why am I here? Uh, and I continue reading. I get the part because they liked what I brought into it. It was not what they were looking for originally, but they saw an interesting way and they decided that this is a better way. So we have no idea. It
No, we
just
really, we really do not have any idea because you can bring something into the audition that completely flips the script,
right.
which is sounds like is what's happened here. Um, so it really is at the end of the day, just go in, do the best that you can, and the rest is out of your hands.
True. And last thing, people, I promise, we will be talking acting, right? The show is about acting, and it's about, the actor and the performance. But the last thing, and I don't know about you, and this is where I want to go with this question, is I've been taught, and it's been ingrained, ever since I started acting. You do the audition, you throw it away, you forget it, you don't think about it, you don't talk about it. But every time I drive back and I call somebody, they're like, "How was the audition? What do you think?" Like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to get into that space where I'm going to hyper-analyze everything that I did or what I should have done better or what maybe I saw in their eyes when I was delivering that particular line. I don't want to think about it because I have no control whatsoever. I want to move on. What about you? Do you agonize after auditions or you just throw it
Um,
away?
so I have that wonderful thing where I get to like, I don't know, wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and cringe. It happens against my will, but I don't speak about any audition, any callback, anything like that, unless you are in the know, like you help me with a self-tape or whatever.
Right.
I don't speak about it to my boyfriend, nothing until it's concrete and real. Um, so I get the joy of agonizing alone. And it happens subconsciously and without I'll be watching a program and completely not thinking of it, and then all of a sudden I'll just be like, oh my gosh, what did I do in that moment? Oh no, that was terrible. So
Yeah.
it just comes out of nowhere, but it lasts for like a day and then I get over it.
Excellent. Okay, let's get to Warrior because I know people already are fast forwarding through this and swearing at me. So, how did Warrior come to be for you?
Well, I didn't actually audition for Catherine to start.
Okay.
I auditioned for Eliza, because the brief came through, and the character descriptions always on the brief, and your agent looks at it, and within the brief it said Eliza 30s, Catherine 40s.
Uh,
And agents, bless them, my agent is great, so I'm just joking. But they put you in the category that you fit.
mhm,
So I got the brief and I was like, there is no way, shape, or form I am going to miss the opportunity to audition for the show, because I had watched the previous seasons that had
mhm,
come out a few years earlier and I was obsessed with the show. So I was like, I'm definitely going to audition and put my best foot forward and do whatever I can. Um, but I knew the character brief for Catherine, and I was like, Eliza's a beautiful character, don't get me wrong, but I was like, she's interesting.
mhm.
So I did the audition, and then I was called back for both,
Ooh,
to
okay.
which I was over the moon. But again, I was like, I'm a professional, so I'm not going to put more effort into one than the other. I'm going to do equal amounts of work, go
Mhm,
in, deliver the best performance I can, and let the chips fall where they may. To which I did, and then didn't hear anything for a month, but knew that they were still auditioning for these roles. So I was like, okay, well, I clearly didn't get that one. On to the next. And I'm driving home like a month later, and I miss a call from the casting director, and then I get a message saying, I'm trying to phone you. So I was like, what's happening? And she said the showrunners want to meet with you over Zoom, have a meeting to discuss. So that's when I sat down with my boyfriend and I was like, so, you know that thing that you just, because I ask him to help me run lines, but I don't ever say what it's for or anything like that. I mean, he gathers from my accent if it's international or if it's local, but he's not in the business, so he doesn't ask questions either. He just runs the lines with me. And then I was like, look, I haven't booked the job yet, but they want to meet with me. This is the show that I've been telling you to watch forever and a day. Um, and what do you think? So I met with Josh and Evan, who were, I don't know why I had this thought in my head of popping on a Zoom and there would be these two suits staring at me, but it was completely not the case. Like Evan had a baseball cap on and a big smile, and Josh has a mohawk, and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. We had a conversation, which I can't remember what we spoke about. And then all of a sudden, I ended up here.
That's amazing. Well, I'm very happy that you ended up here because I love what you're doing with Catherine. We're going to get
Thank
to
you.
all the stuff in a few minutes. How long did it take uh, from the time when you got the role to the time when you started shooting?
I think, let me get my times correct. I think I was confirmed in like May, early May. And then we started shooting in like late mid to late June last year. But as you've seen, I'm not in episode one, so I actually only started in July. So
That's
yeah, that's when it all began.
any chemistry reads? Did they have you read with? Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, they didn't. It was just
Surprising.
all of a sudden, yeah, it was all of a sudden like, hey, Langley, hi.
Yeah.
So
And Langley is such a lovely man. I had the pleasure of speaking to him on the show. He is fortunately nothing like the character that he's playing. Uh,
yes.
but it's interesting. Maybe the showrunners really wanted him to be surprised just as the character was surprised when somebody kind of comes unexpected into his life.
100%. I mean, we did meet each other beforehand.
Yeah.
I think in at the tent probably. I think at the
Okay.
tent we met each other. But yeah, we didn't do any chemistry reads. But he is so divine to work with and such a lovely human being. So I'm very, very grateful that he is my scene partner.
And I hear this, fortunately, and again, this is why the show is amazing. I hear this from everyone. We're gonna have, well, I don't want to spoil some of the surprises, but we're gonna have additional cast members on. I'll tell you after the show. And I talked to their scene partners who said, please tell this person, so I don't say whether it's a man or a woman, please tell this person how amazing of a scene partner they are. And my performance is that way because of them. I hear this all the time from the show, so it's great to hear from you as
Oh,
well.
100%. 100%. Like it's easy. Langley is incredibly professional. And when we roll action, it like he's on, and it's so easy to work opposite that. But then in between takes is able to joke around and play a bit so that not everything is so stringent and like serious,
Yeah.
which makes the work day so much easier, and it brings for a nice comfortable flow.
Yeah, and I saw some of the photos that you were posting of you and Langley, goofing off between takes. I think that was from episode 4.
Yes.
Anyway, as of this taping, only 4 episodes have been shown, so we are not going to be spoiling anything that happens afterwards. We're only going to cover up to episode 4 and including episode 4. So
Yeah.
if you haven't watched all 4 episodes, spoiler alert, because through episode 4 we will be talking about it. Okay, so yeah, you guys were goofing off, but in Catherine, there is a real kind of playful side, and in her eyes, you see that there is a lot of interesting stuff going on. How much of Catherine did you know? As in, did they give you the full breakdown before you really started? Are they giving you one episode at a time, and you're finding out, more about Catherine as you're going along? What was the process like here?
Um, so they didn't give everything, but they kind of gave gosh, I must remember. I think it was the first couple of episodes that we were given, and then it started to, they would then give episodes because they were also kind of still like rewriting some of the script
Sure.
and just working out some of those kinks. So we didn't get everything in finality, but they did give me the overall arc
Okay.
and then said, okay, so this is where we're going. So they let me know that, but then made sure that it was like a secret to the rest of the cast.
Good. So no talking to anybody. That's it. This is your key. Lock it away, right?
Yeah.
No, it's great, but it's also very helpful. Thank God that they kind of gave that to you, because uh,
Yes.
I know, again, in talking to some of the actors, not necessarily from the show, but in general, as they're on something that kind of develops, when they find out later on this is where we're going, they're like, okay, well, I wish I knew that beforehand, because now thinking of the work that I did, you know, 10 episodes before,
Yeah.
this doesn't exactly, I would have done it differently. So I'm glad that they
100%. Yeah. No, I was very grateful to know the full arc before we dived in. So you know how to kind of play certain moments. But
no, that's
nothing happens with Catherine, so
Of course not. Yeah, Catherine is just an ancillary character. No reason for her to be there at all. Um, do you follow the kind of the discussion on Warrior Facebook groups and online, what people think of Catherine and what she's there for? What
I
is
have
what is
I have listened to a few podcasts
okay?
and some of them are hilarious. um, just all the theories that are happening, not just with my character, but with the entire story. And some of
Mhm.
them are wild.
Yeah. Well, we discover a little bit more about Catherine in episode 4, where specifically she says, "I'm not going to let you lose." So people are starting to kind of understand where she's potentially going and what she's doing. They may not understand her intentions or what she knows of Buckley, or what her motivations are, but there is more kind of that's been released in episode 4, so you're seeing, okay, this is where she's likely going to go.
Yeah, as you've seen, Buckley's never been the front runner, he's always been the man in the shadows. And now that he is in that position, he needs people around him that are going to be able to support there. So she's kind of coming in as another level of support. And whether or not he takes that and works with it or not is yet to be discovered.
True, and it's Langley is doing a fabulous job of Buckley trying to figure all of this out, and you can see it in his eyes of thinking from a political perspective, thinking as a man, because he's getting attention from a beautiful woman, and he's not used to that. So there's a lot of stuff that's going there, which is the juicy part of the show. There is depth in every story, so it's interesting to see where it's going to go.
Definitely. You are
Okay.
in for a treat.
Yes, that's what I keep hearing from the cast. That there's a lot of fun stuff that's going to be happening. I can't wait. Um, what has been the most interesting part of the whole Warrior experience for you?
Oh, the most, oh gosh, everything. But in the best way possible. Walking into this, you come with the knowledge of, okay, they've shot 2 seasons, and the show was then cancelled, and there has been this time between season 2 and now shooting season 3. So I'm an optimist. So best case scenario for me was, other than the actors building the relationships over the 2 seasons, this time that has passed, they've continued to build those relationships. So best case scenario, I'm walking into a family unit. Worst case scenario, it feels like just another job. So from the very first day when I felt that family situation, I was like, oh, this is the perfect working environment.
Yeah.
Because if everybody is getting along and working together to, really working so hard to create something so special that means so much to the fans, then I can really get on board with this. So it's been interesting to just be a newcomer and witness those dynamics, and witness the relationships that everyone has with one another, and how everybody works together and their different working styles. From another perspective, the most interesting thing has been the tent. Like, that has been amazing. I wear a dress and drink wine in the show, and I definitely do not kung fu fight, but I have gone there multiple times, and oh man, they're so great. That entire stunt team is incredible.
Yeah. Same again. I hear from all of the actors when they're not shooting, they're on set because they want to watch. They want to see what's happening. So same thing for you as well.
Yes, it was a little bit tricky, obviously, this time around, because even though we were coming out of COVID, it was still very strict protocols. So that wasn't an option as much. But I try to make it to the tent as much as I can, because also storylines don't interconnect. Like, when is Catherine going to hang out with the Hopwai? You never know. But
Okay.
you then are not really seeing or spending time with the rest of the cast unless you are either going to the tent or hanging out. So I would have loved to have gone to set more to watch some stuff, but in a way, I'm kind of glad that I didn't, because now, even though I've read the scripts, I'm now watching it as a fan
Yeah.
unravel on TV, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so amazing. So I'm getting to have those fan moments. Yeah.
And speaking of being fan moments, you mentioned that you were a fan of the show as the first two episodes, excuse me, episodes, seasons were airing. Let's talk about from a fan perspective. A silly question, but there's a lot of
Mm.
discussion. Upway or Long Z? Where would you be in that? Which
Oh,
one of those?
Hotway for sure.
Okay, got it. Who is your favorite character from the first two seasons?
That is a very, very difficult question, because I love them all for very different reasons. But if I had to choose, I would have to say Chow. Sorry, Langley.
No, it's understood. It's hard to go against Chow. He's awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, he is able to work his way in between everyone, he can wangle a situation, and he really has the best lines. And he's got like such an incredible wit, both as the character and in person. I could listen to him tell jokes all day.
and if you were, because as an actress, we do that to ourselves. We look at something and saying, this person did an amazing job, but I wish I was this character. I got a chance to play this character. Who was that character for you in the first two seasons?
Again, again, I would love to play Chow. I would love to play Chow, and then I'd love to play Olivia. Yeah, I'm always going for like the option. I'd love to play a toy just because she's so cool and she's got like such poise about her, but also because she picks up a sword and she does some serious damage. And give me a sword any day, like I'm in my element.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah.
I know you have a dance background and overall very well-rounded background in theater. Any martial arts in your skill set?
I have done fight choreography work, but no like serious martial arts, which is so bizarre because my brother did judo growing up because my uncles who own a dojo,
Hmm.
like the one is a judo champion and the other one's a karate champion. And to this day, I'm like, Mom, because my brother didn't really love it. I was like, Mom, you put the wrong child in this situation. I should have been doing that. Because yeah, I love it. I love it so much. But no, I haven't done any training, but I need to get on that.
You didn't want to participate in the group sessions that all of the guys, in the mornings working out and doing all the activities.
Oh, I did. And Zen will break you. He will break you in half. It is like no joke. Of course, I went as often as I could because that was the exciting part for me. I was like, you mean I get to go and work with the stunt guys and then they're going to teach me stuff? Of course I will be there. But they're so kind. They really don't have to give me the time of day, especially, I'm the certain type of character in the show, but they do. And they're so willing to teach you and they don't have to, but they're so open and happy to show you how it's done. Although Brett likes to change partners, right? So if he sees like an actor with another actor, he'll be like, oh, no, 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 no. And then he'll get one of the stunt guys, which they're like tower over me to work with me. And they are more gentle, but they are also built like machines. And I have gone flying across the room, um, but safely. But they show you some serious work, and you're just like, wow, thank you so much for taking your time. You really didn't have to, like I know that this is your training time as well, and here you are like showing me how it's done. So yeah, I really appreciated that.
That's the part that, me loving the show, me being a martial arts enthusiast, that's the part that I so regret not having the chance. Just forget about any roles. I just want to be a part of that whole thing. So that's the
Oh,
part that.
it's so great. But yeah, so the training that the actors can go to in the morning is 2 hours, and it's no joke. Like
Oh,
I am dead afterwards, and that's just like their warm up. So I leave after that. I'm like, enjoy the rest of your day.
yeah, and
Yeah.
you see the phenomenal shape that everybody's in. Andrew keeps
Yes.
getting better and better and better. So yeah, it's really really cool. One more thing I wanted to ask you in
Mm.
terms of Warrior before I get to some rapid fire stuff, just to find out more about you as a person. But from a Warrior perspective, I another thing that I hear all the time is that as an actor walking onto the Warrior set, you really don't have to do much pretending because you're there. Everything is around you. You can just play. They make it so much easier for you to plug in. Did you find that same thing?
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I mean, I've not been in a situation where they call action and everything just disappears.
Mhm.
And it really is that environment. We are in that situation. I mean, even the extras on that show are so incredible. You don't ever feel like, oh, here I am on a set and now we are going to do the scene. Like it feels very much in the moment. And they have done the most incredible job with the sets and the decor, everything. It's just the costumes. Yeah, it really helps, it really helps a performance because you just feel so in tuned. So yeah.
Very cool. Everybody, from the warrior community, is wondering if there's going to be a season four. They don't see, Max promoting it as much as we wanted to, but Warrior keeps climbing the charts. It's getting amazing reviews, and one of the reasons why I started doing interviews again after a year and a half is to get more word out. So anything that you know of that you hear kind of in the background of how things are going? Is there a good chance of a continuation?
You know, I I don't know the behind the scenes of that. I know that Chopper does like to be a realist about things, but
Hmm.
I will say this: everyone loves an underdog story, and I mean, you're lying if you don't. And Warrior as a show has meant so much to the fans, but also the journey of Warrior.
Yeah.
The fans are the ones who really rallied to bring it back. So I feel like there are two stories happening here, and everyone's fighting for the same goal. So I have heard nothing but good things from people about the show. I mean, I will tell you this, in the world of streaming where there is so much to watch, I really attempted to get my boyfriend to watch the show for a long time when it came out.
Mhm.
And now he was like, okay, I'm going to watch it because obviously you're in it. But he's very honest with me. I've done other stuff. And he was like, I watched your stuff, but I didn't like that movie. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. So I said, please start watching from season one because you need to know what's going on.
Yeah.
He binged the show in 3 days. He is obsessed. And he is a very difficult human being to please when it comes to watching content.
Hmm.
So everybody's had nothing but great things to say about it. So I hope that that traction continues and we get a season four because it deserves a season four, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, Warrior deserves to end on its own terms. It's been such a fighter and it deserves to sing itself out
Yeah.
whenever it decides to.
Thank you. Yeah, because I don't want it to end on season four. I want more
Yes.
seasons to come. Technically speaking. Okay, so let's spend a few minutes just for people to get to know Dom, as you prefer to be called instead of Dominique.
Gosh, I'm
What?
scared.
No, no, it's all open-minded and up to you to answer or not. Um, why do you prefer to be called Dom as opposed to Dominique?
Because when you say my full name, I feel like I'm in trouble. Um, and everybody, including my mother, ends up saying Dominic. And I'm like, that's just not even how you pronounce it. So just everyone calls me Dom. I feel so much more relaxed when you call me Dom.
Your last name is getting mispronounced a lot.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah, what's your favorite mispronunciation of your last name?
Maher. I'm like, where did that come from? Yeah, Maha. I'm like, what? Are we even reading the same word? But yes, it's Mayor.
The interesting part of your last name is when I read it first, because of I'm Jewish, I'm an immigrant from Eastern Europe. So I read it as a word that I'm familiar with, which is it's not a Hebrew word, it's a Yiddish. Thank you. That word came to my mind. As you can see, I'm very, very Jewish. It's called Maher, and Maher is somebody who's very skilled in something. So that's kind of my knowledge of that. So that's where I went with it.
No, I've had that as well. A lot of people fall on Mar, which I think it's an Irish surname as well, so that's how it's
Yeah.
pronounced there. So yeah, I have contemplated, I'm not gonna lie, I have contemplated going, maybe I should just change the H to a Y, and then it will be easier. So
Well, we can do a full numerology breakdown after the show and see if this is something that would be numerologically sound. But no, Mayer is great. Um,
yeah.
you said that you had you contemplated like every actor does, staying in the business or doing something else. Thankfully, you chose to continue. But if you were to be doing something else, what would that be?
Oh, here's the thing. We've all had these thoughts.
Hmm.
Um, And there may have been like one or two other paths to have taken, but really at the end of the day, it's just a fantasy that lives for 5 seconds and then reality hits and I'm like, there is nothing else. There is nothing else. I would be happy, but I wouldn't be overjoyed. There is no plan B.
Good. I think that's the way it is, right?
Mm.
One of my favorite other shows is the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and when they talk from a being a comic perspective is similar to being an actor. If we could do something else, we really would, but
Yeah, yeah.
that's not the way we're wired.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And I mean, I understand that bills need to be paid, which is why most actors have a side hustle. But I'm a firm believer in you have one life, you have to do what makes you happy. Like otherwise, what is the point?
Yeah. What's your favorite activity to do outside of acting?
I'm quite an outdoorsy person, so I love being on the water. So we often go out boating or I go fishing. No vegans come for me, please. Um, yeah, anything on the water makes me very happy. It's like my happy place, and anything outdoors, really. You know, grew up with a whole bunch of boys, like outdoors doing stuff. So yeah, I'm that person.
Nice. And pre-show, you mentioned to me that you don't love talking about yourself, which is an interesting thing because as an actor, people would assume that you're a very outgoing, extroverted person. But then a lot of actors really are introverts, and they're extroverts when they need to be. So if put on a introvert versus extrovert, where would you place yourself?
Oh no, I'm definitely an extrovert, 100%. But I don't want to talk about like I'm bored. I know me. I'm boring. Like I'm an actor, right? My interest is in other people. So I will, I don't know if anybody's really noticed this, but when we're just having normal conversation, like if you ask me a question, I'll go say what needs to be said, but then I will revert it back to you because I'm more interested in what you're about and what you've got to say. I know me. I live with me.
Well, we're happy that the warrior community is getting a chance to know Dom and understand the person that's playing Catherine. Last question:
Mm.
if you had a time machine and you had an ability to go back in time and talk to a young Dom, what would you say to her?
Um, I would probably say to her, don't. stress yourself so much about upsetting the apple cart in terms of like when we spoke about casting directors earlier. Don't worry about walking on eggshells because it's only going to hold you back longer than is necessary.
Very nice. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really interested in seeing where Catherine is going, what her motivations are, and can't wait to see it all play out.
Me neither. I don't know what happens.
Of course. Then we'll end with that. Thank you for coming on the show. Thank you, Warrior community everywhere, for loving the show, supporting the show, and watching this little program and getting some additional information. I'll talk to you all on Facebook. Goodbye.